Welcome to the RV Entrepreneur Podcast, the weekly show for nomads, work campers, RVers, and entrepreneurs looking to earn a living or build a business while enjoying the RV lifestyle. This week's host is Rose Willard. Let's settle in and enjoy the RV Entrepreneur Podcast, brought to you by RV Life. This episode is sponsored by Wholesale Warranties.
Protecting your RV investment means being ready for anything. An extended RV warranty from Wholesale Warranties is the best way to make sure that if an RV failure happens, you can afford to get back to enjoying the RV life as soon as possible. RV warranties are available for motorhomes, fifth wheels, and travel trailers, new and used, across the U.S. Visit wholesalewarranties.com for a free personalized RV warranty quote today and hit the road with peace of mind tomorrow.
Welcome back, friends, to another episode of the RV Entrepreneur Podcast. I'm Rose Willard, your host this week, and today I'm bringing you Tim Nightingale, the owner and creator of Mute Sports Equipment. Tim's company manufactures high-quality custom and heavy jump ropes, adapted split ropes, bar jump ropes for one-arm athletes, and many other accessories, all made in the U.S. And because his business can be mobile, Tim and his wife travel full-time in the RV all over the country to gyms where they hold free jump rope clinics and promote their equipment. They also get to listen to the clients and are able to customize their jump ropes right on site. I think you all will really enjoy this episode with Tim because it's a neat progression of how he made these custom jump ropes that started out as a personal necessity for himself as an athlete, then to a side hustle, getting his wife and daughter involved, and now to a full-time business that supports him and his wife 100%. We also chat a little about some fitness tips while traveling on the road. And in this episode, it just might inspire you to find your jump rope and dust it off and get jumping. It did for me, and it's kicking my butt. I love it. And stay tuned to the end because Tim offers a business opportunity that some of you might find interesting. So with that, let's jump into the interview with Tim. Hi, Tim. Welcome to the RV Entrepreneur Podcast. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you for the opportunity to be here.
I'm really excited to talk with you today because we're both health and fitness enthusiasts in life and on the road, but most importantly, you've created a product that really started out by solving a problem that you had along your fitness journey, and it's evolved so that it's adaptable for everyone, especially those with disabilities. So we're going to talk a little bit about your business that you run most of the year from your RV, but the thing that I love the most is the motivation and purpose behind your company. It's so refreshing because that's just not the norm with most product-based businesses I see today. But before we get into that conversation, Tim, please tell us a little more about yourself and what you do on the road.
Okay. My wife and I have been married for about 29 years, and we manufacture jump ropes and a few other things, some other accessories, and we travel full-time. About 250 nights a year, visiting about 200 different gyms, teaching jump rope clinics.
Wow. And so what was your journey? How did you start getting into the jump ropes and producing these jump ropes?
Okay. My wife and I started CrossFit about 11 years ago. And with CrossFit, whenever there's jump rope in a workout, it's written up as double unders. And so I really struggled to be able to get to do double unders. And I couldn't find a jump rope that did what I thought or worked the way that I thought a jump rope could. And so I went into the shop. I'm fairly handy. And I was able to, on the third cycle of the prototype, was able to finally get double unders. And when we went back to the gym that we were attending, members of, other people saw it, liked it, tried it, and wanted me to build them a rope. And so it started out just really as a side hustle, just making some jump ropes for people. And within 2 years, we were just overwhelmed, working around 40 hours a week, manufacturing and going around and showing our jump ropes and selling them. And then also Laura was a real estate agent, so she was working her hours at that. And I had a landscaping and grade company, so I was working at that 40 hours a week.
Wow.
That was 10 years ago. We started all of that. And at the 2-year point, we went full time. My wife quit doing real estate
Mm-hmm.
I was able to stop taking on jobs and sold off all of my landscaping stuff. And we bought a camper and went full time into going around teaching classes and selling jump ropes and other stuff.
Okay. So at what point or how did you just say, yeah, we can do this. We can go in an RV and just sell from that?
There was a time right before we went full time. We were discussing and trying to figure out how we could make it happen. And I had run the
Mhm.
numbers and knew that I could produce enough to make enough to live off of plus. And there was an opportunity where my machinery was on a job site and it would freeze every night and thaw every day. And since
Mm.
we live in the mountains, when it freezes and thaws, it just,
Mhm.
our clay turns into just a really slippery, snotty mess.
Yeah.
And so I could not get my machinery off of this particular job site because it was so steep and so bad. And so for 1 month, we decided to try it. We went full time. We stayed in hotels and extended stays and visited gyms. And at the
Mhm.
end of the month, all of our bills were paid. And
Mm.
so that was kind of our real verification that this could actually work. And so we, at that point, decided yes, for sure, and bought a camper, started to homeschool our daughter.
Oh, you have a
And
daughter. Okay.
yep, that's where we
Hmm.
went to.
Awesome. And how did you make that work with your daughter in the RV? I mean, I know you said homeschooling, but like going to the gyms and selling and all that, was she a big part of this too?
She was, let's see, she was in eighth grade, middle of her eighth grade year when we started to do it full time. And so at first she stayed in the school system,
Hmm.
but you can only miss so many days unexcused without a doctor's note before the state starts to get involved.
Hmm.
And even though she was a straight A student, we got the warning that, she just could not miss any more school and we were going to be traveling. And so we had a meeting with the school principal and it was actually discussed about homeschool. And they said that it would probably actually be a very good idea for us. And
Hmm.
so that's when we decided to do that. And we went to a homeschool convention, won her curriculum for her first year of homeschool. And so Sam's routine, she would get up in the morning when we would get up at, 4:30 and we would set up our stuff in the gym. She would help us. She
Hmm.
would usually go back in and rest and sleep for a little while longer, get up and do
Hmm.
her schoolwork. And then she would come in and work out and help us with the clinics that we were doing.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's schooling and in general too. I mean,
Yeah.
being a part of your business.
Yeah.
It's
She
wonderful.
got Business 101 and 202 and all the way through.
Everything. Everything. Oh, so tell me about the RV you travel in right now.
Okay. It is our third camper that we have had. It is an ATC. It's 28 foot long, front bedroom. It's got a full, residential size shower in it. So there's plenty
Hmm.
of room. And then it's got a Happy Jack. And when Sam would travel with us, the Happy Jack was her bed. I mean, her bed was up above. We
Yeah.
just now use that Happy Jack for overstock and storage. So
Hmm.
we have it locked at about halfway down. And
Okay.
then there is the dinette that is underneath of that Happy Jack. And we
Hmm.
leave that set all the time. We've got a table mounted in there. Our TV is mounted to the actual tailgate because it's a toy hauler that we
Hmm.
never open up. And we have bins underneath each one of the benches. And so we have my office and her office is underneath of the benches.
Okay. And your daughter, she's older now. She's not traveling with you, correct?
Correct. She is
Okay.
not. She is 21. She's on her own, has her
Oh,
own career going, and she's doing
that's
very well.
awesome. That's awesome. And so you still have a home base. You still have your house.
We do have a house, but we
Okay.
rent out our house because we're gone so often. We
Oh,
actually live in our camper full time.
oh, you do now.
When
Okay.
we are home, we park the camper next to the shop that we do our manufacturing, and we have, water and septic and everything
Right.
is there, power to plug into if we want to.
That's
Or need
perfect.
to. But yeah, we're in our
Yeah.
camper full time.
Yeah. I really like that you didn't just completely sell your house. You're able to rent it out and then you can still use that land next to it. That's smart.
Yes. Yes.
Hmm. Okay. tell me about your wife. She works with you, obviously. How does that go? You're kind of a team, I would suggest.
Yeah, we definitely are. I could not even imagine doing this without her. She is just amazing. She is such a wonderful cook. When we're home, she does most of the cooking and meal prep ahead of time. So a lot of freezer meals where she can pull them out. Most of our classes get done, 7:30, 8 o'clock in the evening. And so she doesn't need to be cooking. I don't want her to be cooking, and she doesn't feel like
Right.
it. And so she can pull a freezer meal out and, in 10 or 15 minutes, we're eating dinner. So she does all of that. She does all of our computer work. She does basically all of our social media. She does a lot of the coaching as well. We do the coaching together. So that's really probably about 50-50 on the coaching. I do most of the talking when we're teaching.
Okay.
But then we work with each individual athlete one-on-one. And so we split up and go through the whole group. And so she is really good at coaching people and just, seeing where they're at and how to help them to be better.
Right. Okay. So tell me how you go about with these classes. Where do you go? Do you, you plan them all out? How do you contact? How do you, all that stuff?
Okay. So we generally cold call gyms to let them know what the service is that we offer, which is the jump rope clinics. We don't charge the gym. We don't charge any of the athletes. All of the clinic is free. If somebody wants to purchase a rope, then we are there and we can custom build the jump ropes for people. Our day, we are the first 20 minutes of each class time. The types of gyms that we generally visit are functional fitness gyms. So CrossFit and the CrossFit style of facility that has the 1 hour group classes. That's generally what we do, is those type of gyms. We do and have done some boot camp style classes, but again, they're hour-long classes, structured group classes. So we can spend about that 20 minutes with the class, and then after we're done with that 20 minutes, we turn them back over to their regular coach, who then does their regular program that they would have to do for that day, that workout.
When you've initially, like way back when, 10 years ago, when you initially contacted gyms, did you get any of them that kind of said, well, what are we going to get out of this? What do we get out of this offer? I mean, they're a business to make money, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So what did you say to them?
And we still get that once in a while, maybe once a month. It's not very often that we get that kind of response.
That's good.
But what we talk about at that point is the more that a member enjoys any particular movements, the less likely they are to, it's referred to as cherry picking. So a cherry picker would only go on days where there's elements that they like, they're good at, or that they enjoy. And so double unders or jump rope is really difficult for a vast majority of the people.
Hold on real quick. I want to clarify the double under.
Okay.
Because I think I know what it means, but maybe for someone who's not into jump roping, that would be great.
Okay. So I'll start with a single under or regular jump rope.
Yes.
Every time I jump, the cable or rope will pass under my feet one time before I land. And so that's regular jump rope. A double under, every time I jump, the cable is going to pass under my body 2 times before I land.
Right.
And then there's triple unders, quads, and so on. And so we focus on the double under because more often than not in functional fitness type of training atmosphere, it is written, jump rope is written as double unders. That's the prescribed, that's the recommended type of jump rope to be doing at that point.
Okay. That's awesome. But back to the gym. I don't remember if we finished that question. I think I may have interrupted, but yeah, you're offering that family atmosphere. Members can become better members, right? And equals a longer member. They want to keep coming back.
They're less likely to cherry pick. And so if they don't cherry pick, they're going to come more consistently. And the more consistent they come, the less likely they are to miss a day. And so therefore, they will stay an active member over a longer period of time, which long-term benefits the gym owner.
Right. Can you tell us a little bit more about these jump ropes, like the quality and like kind of what they're made of?
Sure. It is a plastic core handle that we do some milling and boring and things too. I think it's about a 13-step process that we do. It is wrapped with an overgrip, so it's got a really comfortable non-slip grip to the handle with a knob at the opposite end where the cable attaches, so that the handle can be held back against that knob. So there's a lot of the handle sticking actually out of your hand that then creates leverage, so that I as an athlete or you as an athlete doesn't have to work as hard to make the cable actually rotate around your body. And so that was the part that I was actually missing with getting the double unders, was the leverage.
Right, because a typical jump rope doesn't necessarily have that swivel, right? Is that what you're talking about? The pivot action on the handle?
Right.
Yeah.
And it's meant to where most jump ropes are meant to be held near the cable. So you're holding onto the handle, but you're choked up onto it. And so you just lose a lot of the leverage when you do that. And so you have to work much harder to get that cable to move and to rotate around your body.
Right.
And so as you move away from the cable and have handles sticking out, it accelerates the cable a lot easier and makes that double under much more feasible and possible. And because you're not exerting as much energy, you can do either faster, you can do longer sets, or you just be more efficient at them.
That's pretty cool.
And then the majority of the handle is USA made pieces. There's a bunch of different pieces that come together in the manufacturing process, but the majority of them are USA made. A couple of them are China made, just because it's not practical expense-wise to have them made in the US, although I would love to do that.
Yeah, I can't imagine producing something like a jump rope. I guess it kind of seems simple-ish to piece things together, but I don't know. So how hard was all that to get together? I mean, you said you're handy, but yeah.
For me, it wasn't very difficult. And I could see where for somebody else it may be.
Yeah.
But I've always been a problem solver. When I was doing landscaping, I was a problem solver. I did a lot of jobs that other people either couldn't do, wouldn't do, or didn't want to do. And it didn't matter to me. It was work. And so I like the challenge of figuring something out. And so all of our products fix something that either it was a hole in the market, we couldn't find what we wanted, the jump rope and some other things. And the other some of the other products that we have actually fix issues, like our climbing rope. The vast majority of climbing ropes have a couple of different issues. They shed. And so as you're using them, they break down because they're either a synthetic material that becomes slippery, or they're a natural fiber that breaks up and wears off, and then it sheds all over the gym floor.
Gotcha.
And so with those two issues, most gym owners aren't really happy, don't really love the climbing ropes. Our climbing ropes fix those issues. They're non-shedding, but even though it's a synthetic material, it's very grippy. And so they're very easy to climb. And so we fixed both of those issues in our climbing rope. And so it's that sort of mentality. We try to find and see issues either in products that we use, or since we visit so many different gyms and we get to talk to a lot of gym owners, what are their issues? What are their problems? And then how can we fix that and introduce a product to market?
That's awesome that you can just adapt what you know and what you've done and to suit those individual needs. Take us through a typical class. What's the size? How long? Yeah.
Classes are anywhere from one person to, I think, 47 was the largest class we've ever done. But typically that 7 to, 15, 16, somewhere around in there is the very typical size class. And we have 20 minutes with them. And so 25-ish is very practical to get through in 20 minutes. More than that, then we may need to add a little bit of time. But generally, we will introduce ourselves. We will pass out demo ropes for people to play with and to try. There are different weights of cable, different lengths of cable. And we'll try to set them up with what we think there's going to benefit from the most. And then I'll talk for a little bit. And then Laura and I will actually work through the group one-on-one. And then I'll talk a little bit more into more instruction. And then we'll work through that group a second time in that 20-minute period. And so that's how the class time goes.
And then after the class, how many people come up to you and say, "Hey, I want this jump rope. I need this jump
Uh,
rope."
it's different every day, but let's see, percentage wise, it's usually 10% or more of the
Hmm.
people that we see in a day, any particular
Yeah,
day,
right.
end up purchasing jump ropes.
Hmm.
And we've had days where we visited a gym in November, a little bit
Hmm.
before Thanksgiving, and it was a very small gym. They had 13 members, and we
Oh,
sold
wow.
15 jump ropes.
Ha, that's great.
And so every single person we saw that day bought a jump rope, and a couple bought one for their
Hmm.
spouse who wasn't even there that day.
That's awesome.
And so it's just cool.
It's cool. They could see it, touch it, feel it, use it. I mean, it solves a problem too. So
Yeah.
I think it's great if they can do that. Easier to sell. What's the follow-up process like after a class? Do you have a referral system in place or just word of mouth?
We don't have a referral system. We do get a pretty decent number of referrals.
Okay.
It's interesting that a lot of people who are of the CrossFit style or functional fitness style of exercise working out
Yeah.
really becomes a piece of their life and who they are. And when they
Hmm.
travel, they visit gyms. And so very, very often we will meet people who are dropping into the gym that we're at, and
Hmm.
they'll say, "Man, you need to come to our gym." And
Awesome.
so we give them a business card and make
Yeah.
contact with that gym owner,
Yeah.
and then
Hmm.
try to set up a time when we can visit with that gym.
That sounds good. Yeah. Business cards still around.
Yes. Oh, yes. Lots of
Yeah.
them.
Do you guys bring all your products with you on the road, or do you go back and pick up supplies when you are at the home base? How does that all work?
Sure. When we're home, we're usually home for 1, sometimes 2 weeks at a time, and that's when we do our manufacturing. And so we have bins and bins and bins that we know we can get on the road and be generally gone about 6 weeks before we start to run really low on inventory. But we
Yeah.
carry almost everything with us. We're not able to carry the climbing ropes with us just because they're so big and take up so much room. So when somebody purchases a climbing rope, we have to ship it once we get back to the shop to
Okay.
be able to ship those.
Hmm.
But everything else, we actually carry an amount of it with us. And we've got it down pretty good after this number of years that we know about what we're going to need. And if we happen to run low on something, my parents and my wife's parents both live just a couple miles from us. And so they can actually get into our shop, put together a box of, our thumb tape and liquid chalk or whatever we would run short on, put it together in a box, and then my wife can send them a shipping label. They can print it off, put it on it, and then we
Hmm.
can pick it up at a UPS store in maybe the next town that we're going to go to. We would have it
Hmm.
shipped to that town and be able to pick it up.
That's awesome. That sounds like a great scenario.
It has worked well.
Sheesh. So you started out selling the regular jump ropes
Yes.
for jumping, but now you've also adapted them for people with disabilities or in wheelchairs, etc. Tell us about these ropes. They are split ropes, correct?
Yes, yes. They are called split ropes, and it is an adaptive jump rope that anybody who physically is not able to jump for whatever reason, whether it's an able-bodied person like myself who is fully functional, but maybe I have gotten shin splints or twisted an ankle or something, and I'm just physically not able to jump. Let's see, elderly,
Hmm.
extremely
Yep.
obese, somebody just physically isn't able to jump, wheelchair users, amputees. There's just a multitude of reasons that a person would not be able to jump,
Right.
but you use them sitting down. They are meant to hit the ground. So you have a rope, a piece of heavy rope attached to a handle, and you have two of them, one in each hand, and you rotate them around so that they hit the ground. And when you're sitting down, they tug on your body. And so as they're tugging, you're getting the same stimulus that we would get if we were jumping and landing. And so there's a lot of core. You're getting the shoulder strength. You're still building coordination because we want them to rotate parallel to the body. We want them to hit the ground at the same time. And so there's a lot of the coordination, the cardio, and the muscle fatigue that all comes from jumping rope, but while sitting. And so
Yeah.
we've got those actually in 5 different weights for all different abilities or inabilities that somebody would be able to start moving or continue to build strength and cardio for, a stronger, more able athlete moving forward.
Yeah. I was watching some of the videos on your site. Some people who were able-bodied just sitting on a bench and doing it. And you can tell their core and everything, they're getting very activated. And then also the ones in the wheelchairs. It was really neat, really exciting. Gives me goosebumps that you're able to do this. It's really cool.
It's very, very cool.
I bet they're very appreciative of you.
Yes. And it's just neat to be able to work with somebody who maybe we meet people all the time who've never seen them or heard of them, but to be able to go in there and show them how they can get the same thing that their companion that they're working out next to, now they get the exact same result without the impact. And very often they've just thought, well, I can't do that and I've got to do, something different. Well, now they're actually get to accomplish the same type of work.
Oh, that is so cool. How did this adaptive equipment come about? What was the initial person or someone?
Yeah. We met a lady, we were doing a clinic, and we met a lady who was a firefighter who had gotten injured and paralyzed. I can't remember where, but her legs were paralyzed. So she was using a wheelchair, and she remembered what it was like to be able to do jump rope. And she was just a little discouraged that whenever the class would do jump rope, she didn't get to. And so I had an old jump rope, one of our demo ropes, and we literally cut it in half and played with it. And it was too long. We cut it shorter. But through that process, that day, we figured out an idea. And so I asked her if she'd be willing to work with me on this process, and she said yes. And so we have heavy jump ropes as well. And so we made the first split ropes and sent them to her, and she tried them out. And it's a kind of a funny story. When she first used them, she called me up and said, I don't think it's heavy enough. I really didn't feel as much as I thought I should. And so I said, well, give me some time. I'll make a heavier set. She actually called me a couple of days later and said, I think I've messed up. And so through the conversation, she had used them for about 300 revolutions, the first pair that I sent that she thought was too light. And she was so sore, like 2 days after kind of sore, which is, you've done something good.
Yeah.
She was not able to wheel her chair. She wasn't able to drive the car, so she couldn't get the kids around. The kids were actually pushing her around the house to get around because she was so incredibly sore. And so we knew that we had something really good. And so I sent her the heavier set anyways, and we've continued to expand from there.
Oh, wow. So you started out selling the jump ropes, adaptive ropes.
Yep.
And like you just said, you've gone a little beyond that. And I was looking at your website, you've got lots of other products. So they just kind of came about as a necessity for your clients, or you just felt like this would add benefit to them?
Actually, both.
Yeah.
Both.
Okay.
Some of our products were, like the climbing rope I had mentioned, was we don't own a gym. And so the climbing rope was fixing a problem that many gym owners were expressing to us. The jump rope was a problem that I had to fix it. But if you look at our thumb tape is an adhesive tape that you would put around your fingers to help from getting sores or blistering when you're doing a lot of Olympic lifting or kettlebell swings, something where you can have a lot of rubbing. And so this thumb tape helps to protect the skin. And very often when I would try to use it, it would partway through the workout, it would slide off my thumb, or another one would be sticky. It wouldn't slide off, but it would leave all this just a terrible residue on your fingers after you take it off. And so I found a tape manufacturer that was willing to work with me and create a product that I wanted. And so we got a ton of samples from them, and they took, I want the stickiness of this one, but the waterproof of this one, and I want the glue on this one because it didn't leave the residue, and I like the stretchiness of this tape. And so we took all of those attributes and made our thumb tape. and people absolutely love it, and I love it.
That's awesome.
And so
Yeah.
we just created a product that I wanted to be able to use, and it's just interesting that other people like it as well. So
That's awesome. Jumping rope, that's very dynamic, but and dynamic for people who can't jump with these split ropes. They can do it. And it doesn't take up much space. It's lightweight, so it's great for someone who travels full time or travels in their RV. Can you give some advice for an RVer that's new to jumping rope and maybe wants to use it as an easy way to get in shape or keep themselves in shape while on the road?
Yes, definitely. I would really recommend anytime, like you could do jump rope quite a few times a week. It doesn't have to be a long period of time, but combine the jump rope with other things. Maybe you do 20 seconds of jump rope, and then I don't know what this person's ability might be, but if you can run, maybe you run one lap around the RV park, or you just walk briskly, or you walk 3 sites down and back. If there's a curb, maybe you step up on the curb 20 times and then do another set of jump rope and then do something else. Maybe you're doing a variation of a push-up. If you can't do a push-up on the ground, maybe you go to your knees. Maybe you do it against the side of your rig to where you're just leaning into it, but you're doing a push-up motion, but not pushing the whole weight of your body. You're just pushing yourself away from in a kind of a leaned standing type of position. And so just move, really just move a little bit. And because the jump rope is so light, so portable, it doesn't take up a lot of room. It's a piece of equipment that can add a lot of variety and functionality and doesn't take up that room or space.
Right. That's a key point when RVing is your things in your RV need to do double duty or triple duty. They need to have many purposes. So the jump ropes are perfect. What is the coolest modification you've seen for exercise off of an RV?
We met a fella who had actually built a rig. And when I say rig, it is the metal framework that you would normally see in a gym that would have like a ledge that you could put a barbell onto, that you could do a back squat off of, or front squats, that sort of thing for a Olympic barbell and weights. But then there was also a bar above that he could do pull-ups and muscle-ups and put rings on it to do ring rows and all different sorts of things. But he actually had one of these rigs that he had put and mounted to the back of his RV that he could actually fold up and strap or attach to the back of the rig. I don't remember exactly how it was attached, but he had essentially a gym that he was toting around on the outside of his RV.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
It was.
I can just imagine this. And I've also seen like just in the doorway, people have put like little chin-up bar type things, that kind of thing. But yeah, what you talk about, that's really cool.
Yes, that's above and beyond.
Above and beyond. Let's talk a little bit about your fitness journey while you're traveling on the road. What do you guys do?
A lot of days, since class times aren't every hour, most gyms will have the average, I would say, is 6 or 7 different classes a day. Some will do 8 or 9. We've had a few that have more than that, but very often the gym will allow us to have access to the gym that we're visiting, and so we go in when nobody else is there, and we get to do our workouts. And so we use their equipment, and so we're at a different gym most days to be able to work out.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Now your jump ropes need to be on hard surface to jump, but how can we do it if we're on the road and we want to do it like at our campsite? Is there any tricks for that, or you just still would recommend hard surface like a gym?
Generally, any surface that's going to be smooth to the touch.
Okay.
Asphalt, concrete generally aren't smooth to the touch, but if you're in an RV park, they may have a pavilion. A lot of times the pavilions will be a smooth, polished concrete, and that surface won't damage your jump rope, so you'd be able to jump there. You could use some sort of mat. We're actually in the development of a mat. Will probably actually be our next product to market.
That's smart.
No matter how you roll it up or fold it up or stuff it into a place, it lays out perfectly flat. And so we've actually tested it on, rough, coarse gravel. We've used it in the grass. We've used it on all sorts of surfaces, and it works very, very well. So we're looking at bringing that to market, hopefully sooner than later, but there's a lot of things that play into all of that to bring it actually to market, but we're working on that process. Our jump ropes, generally, like I said, you do want to use them on a smooth surface, but if it's just not an option, you can still use them on any type of surface. You would just maybe need to replace the cable prematurely.
Oh, I see.
And so our replacement cables are $9. So it's not super expensive. And you just keep the same handles, keep moving forward with a different cable. And the cable, anybody could change it out in just a matter of, a few seconds. It changes. It actually has like a key ring, a miniature key ring. That is what actually attaches the cable to the axle in the handle.
Oh, perfect. Yeah, that's great. And I think your mat idea is pretty smart because, a lot of, if people are boondocking or they don't have access to smooth ground and they want to still jump rope and like the dust, you don't want to do that. And even on like your, even on your mats, that you put out for your RV, I feel like that might still not be perfect. So
they sometimes can make the cable, they'll like catch it because they're usually not firm enough. And so they'll actually like catch the cable and make it bounce, makes the cable bounce or
bounce
up a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's good. I really also want to know like your process of how you bring a product to market, but I don't know if we have a whole lot of time. I don't know. Is there any little parts in there that are the hardest thing for you or? I don't know.
None of it. Well, I guess the finances to put enough money together to bring it to market, that's probably the hardest part.
Okay.
But I love the research part of it, figuring out what material and making phone calls and picking people's brains. I'm a people person. And so I can call up a company and go, hey, here's who I am. This is what I'm thinking. This is what I would like a product to be able to, some attributes of a product. Do you have anything like that? And so more often than not, a company will go, oh man, I got this or that. I'll send you some samples. And then I can say, hey, I'd need a sample of, this size. Or when I was doing rope, hey, I need a rope in, I need 10-foot length of rope to do some testing on it or whatever. And they see me as a potential customer. And so very, very often they'll send me samples to test and try. And then I'm not easy on it. I want to know, is it going to actually work, perform, do what I want? And then from there, once I have what I would consider a working prototype, then I'll actually produce more of them to test and have some other people that I know and can trust that would be just brutally honest to test it and tell me yes, no. And so that's kind of the really short version of how that process works.
Yeah. Are these companies that you're calling just in the US, or are you actually like, how do you contact for China, like the other part that you said?
For the most part, they are US. If I can do something or have something or pieces of something made in the US, that is my ultimate goal.
Awesome.
Sometimes it's just not feasible. It's not financially practical.
Right.
Some stuff comes from China, and there's different outlets where you can contact people through translators or email, different things like that to be able to find product. For an instance, our jump rope has a bearing. Our bearing is made in China to our specifications. And so to have that same bearing made in the US is literally, instead of 50 cents a piece, it would cost me $8.
Wow.
And so, and you're looking at 2 bearings per jump rope. And so that puts my jump rope into a whole new class and price that could price it out of range for so many people, because now I'm looking at that's adding $16 before I even add any kind of profit to that. And so that's just not practical. If I could have it made for $1.50, well, I would probably do that, but it just, that's not going to happen.
Right. I see that.
Yeah.
And I think, I think there can be a lot of downsides and maybe a lot of excuses not in trying to create a product. especially when you think how many, I don't know, products out there, even jump ropes maybe, and what goes into making that product like you were talking about. But what's the biggest piece of advice you'd give someone trying to create a product that they're passionate about?
Wow. Just stay with it. I mean, don't be afraid to fail. If you try something and it doesn't work, why did that not work? And then see if you can fix that problem as well in the process.
Yeah.
I have boxes of stuff and prototypes, things that did not work. And so be willing to fail, I think is super important.
Yeah. I mean, I guess you also have to think, okay, yes, there is so much out there, but it's not saturated. Like, just keep your passion, speak your truth, have that confidence. If you really believe in this and you see what good is coming from it already, keep going.
Yes. And then, like you're talking, like you've made that product. Customer service is huge.
Oh yes, it is.
Oh man. I mean, we'll have a customer contact us and say, "Hey, my jump rope is broken," and you can look at it and you can tell that they've dropped the barbell on it because it would be smashed. Like I can jump on my handles, I land on my handles and they don't break. And so to break our handles, it's got to be quite an impact. And so sometimes somebody will contact us and say, "Hey, my handle broke." And I can tell that it wasn't a fault of ours, but I can send them a new jump rope. It costs me the little bit of cost that I have in my rope to send that new, but that person there is now going to tell all their friends, "Hey man, these guys hooked me up or really took care of me." And I can't pay for that kind of advertisement or publicity. No. But if I didn't do anything or said, "Sorry, I can tell that's not my fault." Well, one, they might just go buy a different jump rope rather than using mine. But they're not going to tell people how awesome ours is.
Right.
And so to me, I just paid a little bit of money for a lot of advertising. And so customer service is just huge.
It is huge. You've got a great business model. You are solving a problem. You are personally going out there, listening to their needs, and then modifying and adapting to suit those needs. And you've got your customer service, your passion. You have got it all, man. This is wonderful. Go.
An amazing wife. You forgot that part. Amazing.
And your wife. I'm sorry. Cannot forget that.
Yeah.
For sure. That's awesome. What are your future plans? What do they look like? How are you growing? And then where are you traveling to next?
Our plan growing is to continue to bring product to market, to continue to try to fix issues and things that we're using or other people are using, and to continue to grow our website and web presence, because the majority of our sales is in person and our online does well. But of course, we would like it to do better. And so we're continuing to try to make that do better as well.
Awesome.
Our next trip is actually to the Raleigh area, North Carolina. And so we'll be in that area-ish for a couple of weeks.
Okay.
And then we'll be home for a few days. And then we head to Pensacola after that for a big competition.
Oh, that's awesome. Woohoo. So we chatted a little before we recorded, and I remember that you're looking for fellow RVers, maybe kind of like as a side hustle, to kind of do what you do, run some of these classes and sell the jump ropes. And it sounded like it would be best if this person would have fitness experience, or even if they were or is a CrossFit trainer. Can you explain a little bit more about this?
Most definitely. And so as we talked about earlier, it was the going into the CrossFit gyms and functional fitness gyms. They have an insurance, obviously, because they're operating a gym. Well, if you have your CrossFit training certificate, you're automatically covered under their insurance. And so I have my level 2, Laura has her L1 as CrossFit trainers. And so there's never that awkward issue when we go into a gym. And so that part of it's pretty important. But we would work with whoever would want to do this as to how we book the gyms, how we pick where we're going, how we run the classes, as far as how we teach and why we teach what we teach, so that there's a consistency in the product. And we've got just a lot of the systems figured out as far as how you would receive merchandise on the road, and that sort of thing. And just be able to work with an individual or a couple would be best to work through that whole process and every aspect, as far down as the taxes and the write-offs and what you can do, and as far as even easy stuff as like, where are you getting your water? Where are you staying tonight?
Right.
All of those things we've been able to work through in the 8 years. And so it just now becomes a system that we can transfer and allow somebody else to be able to do that. We would still be doing it. This other couple, I guess, would be able to pick their route, and they could work as little or as much as they wanted to, travel, see some stuff, but they know that they can make some money here and there if they want to.
Right. That's awesome. And so they would go out and do the same kind of things you do, just different route, and they would make a sale. They would carry all the jump ropes or necessary with them as well, right?
Yes. Yeah. We would let them know and get them set up with, we know, I think we mentioned it with the inventory and how much inventory we need to have.
Right.
And with shipping time and like that, we would know that, hey, when you get down to this number of stuff, we need to make sure that we're shipping you more product so you don't run out. You can't sell it if you don't have it. And so very often, just by people seeing it or touching it or getting to try a sample of it, like our thumb tape or our chalk, we sell a ton of that stuff just because somebody got to try it and they're like, they can feel and see the quality.
No, that's important.
Yep.
Yeah. Tell us quickly then, for them who's like, oh yeah, I'm interested, I want to do this. How does the financial side work? What are they making?
They would generally make about 30%. And so they would end up purchasing all the product from us at a wholesale price. And then when they teach the clinics or set up a booth at a competition, they would sell the product at retail price. And then very often we get online sales after we have visited a particular area. Well, you would have a code, and that code would be incentive for that person to use, because they're going to get something out of it if they use that code. And then I know that your customer has just bought something. And so you are going to still get the profits off of that sale, because I'm going to fulfill it, but I'm going to actually give you the difference between the wholesale and the retail price. And so at the end of the month, we would settle up on those instances.
Sounds like a win-win. It's pretty cool.
I think so.
That's awesome. Where has been your favorite place to work and explore?
I think South Dakota. South Dakota and Wyoming, to me, were just absolutely beautiful. We were warned when we were going that way that, you're going to be bored out of your mind. There's just miles and miles of nothingness. But Laura and I absolutely loved it, because like every 20, 30 miles, it was totally different terrain. It would be all rocks, and then it would be all grassland, and then it would be like this rolling hills and green. And then we come up over this knoll and there's nothing but water. And it was just, to us, we love that kind of stuff. And so it was just beautiful. And it was just so different throughout the day that it was almost exciting to see, what's going to happen in a half hour from now of what we're going to be able to see. And so, and then Wyoming was a lot of that as well when we were out there. And so that was probably one of our favorite places to see.
It is definitely beautiful up there. And I love the fact that you've created this business that you can travel to these wonderful places all over and, still meet at the gyms and again, sell your wonderful product. So you have a great story.
Thank you.
Yeah. You really created something wonderful. It's very niche oriented, which seems to be the way to go.
Yeah. We're really trying.
You are. You're touching so many people's lives. And when you travel, my gosh, I can't even think how many people you've touched. So thank you.
Yeah.
This is great. I really love your model. Like I said, listening to the customer, making the product suit their needs. And you guys are really giving back. And you gave so much great knowledge today, from fitness on the road and your business, everything. So
thank you.
I'm really glad you joined us today, and you've inspired me to get out my jump rope. never mind, it might not be as good as yours, but I will still get out there today.
Make something happen there.
Oh, that would be awesome. Oh man. So thank you. Thank you. Thank you. You've inspired us all, I think. And if people want to get in touch with you and want to know where you'll be next and how to get your product, where can we find you?
So Instagram and Facebook, Mute Sports Equipment. Super easy to find us on there. We're very active. Our website, mutesportsequipment.com, or even just mutesports.com will get you there as well. So super easy. With the Facebook, there is an events tab on our page. And so every event that we book, as we book them, Laura creates a Facebook event. So they're all there. You can kind of see where we're coming. If we're not coming to your area, contact us. If you'd like us to visit your gym, whether you're the owner or you're just a member, we can contact the owner and let them know that we're available. And then our website, I believe it's live, but it's in the process of having a calendar actually put on our website. So it will be there as well. If it's not, it will be very, very soon.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah.
Excellent. I will put all these links in the show notes, guys. If you have any more questions, please contact Tim. Thank you, Tim.
You are very welcome. Thank you so much for the opportunity. It has been a pleasure, and you have a great afternoon.
Thanks. You too. I hope you guys enjoyed that interview with Tim as much as I enjoyed the conversation. I really like the story behind Tim and his brand, and also love their philosophy of building equipment that solves problems for athletes, programmers, and gym owners. So if you're interested in their jump ropes or meeting up with Tim and Laura at one of their free jump rope clinics, check out their website and Facebook page for the events. And if you think you'd be a great fit for that business opportunity Tim mentioned, be sure to reach out to him. I'll have all that info in the description of these show notes. Until next time.